Did you know that at this very moment, there is a person sabotaging all your plans? They are stealing your energy and whispering that tomorrow is a better place to start. This person isn't your boss. It's not your competitor. And it isn't destiny. That person is you. Napoleon Hill. After decades of studying the most brilliant and powerful minds in history, reached a conclusion that is both terrifying and liberating. The greatest enemy you will ever face in life is looking back at you in the mirror every single morning. We spend our entire lives searching for magic formulas, unexpected inheritances, or strokes of luck, while ignoring the fact that we carry a tool of mass creation and destruction right inside our own skulls. Why do some men and women seem to walk on water, transforming crises into fortunes, while others, with the exact same opportunities, sink at the first sign of a strong wind? The answer isn't in what they have, but in who they defeated. They defeated themselves. They mastered the internal resistance that keeps most of humanity trapped in mediocrity. If you feel like your life is on hold, that success is something that only happens to others, or that you are just surviving the day instead of conquering it, then this audio is your wake-up call. There is one single rule, a golden principle that Hill isolated from all others. If you ignore it, no book or course can save you. But if you master it, the world will have no choice but to bow to your will. Which part of the world are you listening from? Leave a comment and let us know. To access an activation prayer and make a true commitment to yourself, click the very first comment below. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, so we can master our mindset together, every single day. If you accept the challenge to break out of autopilot today, leave a like as a seal of your commitment. Let's dominate. We have reached the central point of our journey. The moment to reveal what Napoleon Hill called the watershed between the common man and the man of destiny. If you have ever felt like you were driving a powerful car with the handbrake pulled tight, understand this. That brake is your lack of centralized direction. The single rule that Hill isolated. After studying over 500 of the world's greatest fortunes, is definiteness of purpose, combined with unshakable self-discipline. But do not be fooled by the simplicity of those words. What Hill proposes is not just having a goal. It is the complete possession of your own mind. Defeating yourself means, ultimately, that you have stopped being a spectator of your own thoughts, and have become their dictator. Most people live in a state of drifting. Hill used this term to describe those without a defined objective, who are swept away by any current. When you lack a purpose that burns in your chest, your lower self takes command. And what does that self want? It wants immediate pleasure. It wants to avoid pain. It wants to save energy. It is the architect of your stagnation. The golden rule is this: either you dominate your mind, or it dominates you. There is no middle ground. There is no truce in this internal war. This revelation changes everything because it strips away the excuse of circumstances. Hill said that every failure carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit. But that seed only germinates in the mind of someone who has already decided where they are going. When you define a purpose greater than your comfort, self-discipline stops being a burden and becomes a tool. Defeating yourself becomes the pleasure of seeing the self of yesterday surpassed by the self of today. That is the power of a mastered mind. Think of a magnifying glass. If you move it constantly under the sun, nothing happens. But if you hold it perfectly still, focusing every photon of light onto a single point, you create fire. Most people scatter their mental energy in 1,000 directions. Worrying about bills, fearing what the neighbors think, regretting the past. They are moving the glass all the time. Winning the battle against yourself is having the discipline to keep that lens still, until the fire of success ignites. Hill discovered that the secret of great leaders was not superior intelligence, but the capacity to focus on a single objective until it became a physical reality. They became obsessed, not in a sickly way, but in an organized way. This rule demands an honest inventory. What has been occupying the throne of your mind? If you spend your day reacting to the world, answering messages, solving other people's problems, watching tragedies on the news, you are not winning. You are being colonized. Dominating the mind requires isolation. It requires saying no to what is good, in favor of what is great. Many ask, how do I start applying this rule if my life is a mess? Hill's answer is clear. Start where you are, and with the tools you have at hand. Self-discipline begins in the small things. If you cannot control what you put on your plate, or what time you get out of bed, how do you expect to control the great movements of destiny? The mastered mind is built through microscopic victories. Every time you feel the urge to procrastinate, and instead, you work for just 5 minutes, you are strengthening the muscle of your will. You are sending a signal to your subconscious. I am the captain here. However, there is a danger. Knowing the rule is different from living it. Many read Hill's work and become theorists of success. They can quote the paragraphs, but their lives remain the same. Why? Because the internal resistance is cunning. It adapts. When you start to master one area, your sabotaging self hides in another. It disguises itself as prudence, or the need for more study, or false humility. Defeating yourself requires eternal vigilance. You must become an impartial observer of your own mental processes. Hill noted that those who applied the rule of the mastered mind developed a sixth sense. They seemed to know when to act and when to wait. But it wasn't magic. It was the result of a mind no longer at conflict with itself. When you stop fighting your own fears and doubts, all that trapped energy is redirected toward creating wealth, health, and happiness. You stop wasting fuel trying to start the car, and you finally start driving. But here lies the great mystery. How do you keep this flame burning when the outside world seems to conspire against you? Hill didn't just talk about raw willpower. He spoke of a mental architecture that protects this rule from any outside interference. There are specific tools Hill left behind, so that this victory over self isn't just a burst of motivation, but a foundation of granite that nothing can shake. Do you feel you have the right tools to protect your mind from invaders? What happens when the initial enthusiasm fades, and you are left alone with your old habits in the dark of the night? That is the moment the true empire begins to be built. To make the rule of the mastered mind a physical reality in your bank account and in your emotional health, you must build what Napoleon Hill called an inner empire. It is not enough to simply want to win. You need a mental engineering that makes victory inevitable. Hill discovered that the secret isn't fighting old habits with brute force, but replacing them using two tools he considered sacred: autosuggestion and creative imagination. Autosuggestion is the communication channel between your conscious mind, the one you are using to think right now, and your subconscious, where the true power of execution lives. To defeat your old self, you must understand that your subconscious is like a giant, blind servant. It doesn't question if what you say is true or false. It simply works to make your suggestions real. If you say, "I'm tired," or "this is too hard for me," your subconscious servant immediately reduces your physical energy to match your words. Hill taught that we must feed this servant precise, positive instructions, charged with emotion, every single day, especially when we wake up, and right before we sleep. But autosuggestion needs a map, and that is where creative imagination comes in. Hill said that imagination is the workshop where all of humanity's plans are created. To stop self-sabotage, you must visualize your victorious self with such clarity that your brain cannot distinguish the mental image from your current reality. When you close your eyes and see yourself acting with courage, deciding with firmness, and living in abundance, you are creating new neural pathways. You are, quite literally, building your empire inside your head, before the first brick is ever laid in the physical world. But there is a tool Hill called the crown jewel of self-conquest: the mastermind principle. Usually, we think of a mastermind as a group of people, But Hill left a deeper teaching for those who must win the battle alone. You can create an internal mastermind in your imagination. You can summon the mentors you admire, even Napoleon Hill himself, and ask them how they would act in your situation. When you do this, you step out of your limited perspective. You access a wisdom that transcends your ego. You stop listening to the voice of fear and start listening to the voice of human potential accumulated through the centuries. Persuasion also plays a vital role here, but not the persuasion used in sales. I am talking about the ability to persuade yourself. Hill observed that most people are experts at making excuses for their failures. They are brilliant lawyers for their own mediocrity. To change this, you must become a promoter of your own greatness. You must learn to talk to yourself in a way that awakens enthusiasm. For Hill, enthusiasm isn't just a feeling. It is an electrical state that drives action. Without it, the rule of the mastered mind is just a chore. With it, it becomes a divine mission. Winning the war against yourself also requires you to master your communication with the world. Hill taught that the way you speak and the way you carry yourself shapes your reality. A person who walks with slumped shoulders and speaks with uncertainty is sending a constant autosuggestion of defeat. By correcting your posture and your voice, you send a command of authority to your own nervous system. You begin to occupy space in the world, because you first occupied space within yourself. Hill warned that the greatest enemy to this empire is the influence of other negative minds. To win, you must often isolate yourself from common sense. Common sense says you should worry about the crisis. It says you should accept what life gives you, and that you shouldn't dream too high. Hill called this mental poison. Protecting your inner empire means being a strict gatekeeper of your mind, never allowing the doubts of those who gave up on their dreams to become your own. Yet, even with a reprogrammed mind, there is a final test. The test of the desert. Hill discovered that just before a great victory, life often presents a challenge that seems insurmountable. It is the moment when self-discipline feels insufficient, and doubt tries to sneak back in through the back door. How do you stay standing when everything around you seems to fall apart? How do you transform the pain of growth into an unshakable faith that moves mountains? This is the final stage of the journey. Are you ready to understand how persistence, taken to the extreme that Hill preached, can bend time and space in your favor? Ultimate victory isn't in what you achieve, but in who you become. When you decide that quitting is simply no longer an option in your vocabulary, we have reached the ultimate peak. The place where the world of theory ends, and the world of legendary results begins. Napoleon Hill discovered a law of the universe that few ever dare to test. He called it the persistence of the soul. Most people think persistence is just trying again. They are wrong. True persistence as Hill saw it, is a state of mind so powerful that it actually creates a new reality. It is the refusal to accept any result other than the one you have visualized. When you reach this level, something incredible happens. The universe, which seemed to be testing you, suddenly steps aside. It recognizes that it can no longer stop a mind that has conquered itself. This is the moment of your transformation. You are no longer the person you were at the beginning of this audio. You have the map of the garden. You have identified the silent adversary. You have claimed the throne of your mind. And you have built your inner empire. Now, there is only one thing left to do. Act. Hill taught that knowledge is only potential power. It becomes real power only when it is organized into a definite plan of action. Do not wait for the perfect moment. It will never come. Start where you stand, with the heart of a lion and the discipline of a master. Subscribe to the channel to strengthen your faith and transform your mindset every single day. Leave your like if you decide today to live with purpose, to break free from autopilot, and to renew your mind. Show the world your commitment. And finally, click the link in the first comment to access the 1-minute prayer. Align your mindset with God's purpose for you in 2026. It is time to step into your destiny. We will see you in the next video. Remember, the person in the mirror is no longer your enemy. Through the principles you've learned today, that person has become your most powerful ally. Your mind is no longer a chaotic storm. It is a laser focus, capable of cutting through any obstacle. Go out into the world today, not as someone who is trying to succeed, but as someone who has already decided to win. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you demand. Through your thoughts, your words, and your unshakable actions. The battle is over. You have won. Now, go and claim your kingdom.